Hello everyone, welcome back. We are here with another session, a very important session. Please do not make the mistake of not paying attention to this session. I would say I would rate it 9 out of 10 if I were to give an importance or a star rating to this particular chapter which we are about to start. The basics were obviously 8, 8.5, fiscal policy is 9 along with monetary policy which is also 9. Trust me on this, questions on fiscal policy, monetary policy are asked in every economic exam, be it school level, college level, UPSC, interviews of regulators like RBI, SEBI, NABARD exams, questions on monetary policy and fiscal policy are asked. We are going to start with fiscal policy. So first, before that, let us revise a few things which we have done in the basics. Okay, let us revise it and we'll go through it very quickly. So very quickly tell me what is NFIA? What is NFIA? Net factor income from abroad. What is NFIA? Just try to remember what is NFIA, net factor income from abroad. Okay? So we have something called NFIA, net factor income from abroad. What is net factor income from abroad? Whatever is earned by Indians, irrespective of their origin outside India, whatever is earned by Indians minus whatever is earned by non-Indians from India, you reduce it and net effect you get is net factor income from abroad. Why do we use NFIA? Why do we use net factor income from abroad? We use it because we have to calculate national product, be it gross, be it net. Remember, and how to differentiate between gross and net, be it domestic, be it national. Depreciation. Depreciation is the difference between gross and net, and NFIA is the difference between domestic and national. Is it very clear? Okay. What is the definition of GDP? The textual definition of GDP is the final value, very important, final value of all goods and services. All is very important. Services is also very important. Final value of all goods and services produced in the economy during a particular period, be it 1 year. Now, I'll give you a few examples. You tell me whether it will be counted in GDP or not. Okay. You bought a car. Will it be counted in GDP? Yes, because it is a final consumption. You are doing it finally. You resell the car. You resell it to someone else. You resell it to your friend. It has become old and you said, ki, I want to resell it. You resold it to someone or your friend or on OLX. Would it be counted in GDP? Now think about it. Would resale be counted in GDP? Would resale be counted in GDP? Think about it and tell. You bought a car which was manufactured, you bought it first hand. Okay? Now you are going to resell it. The first instance will be counted in GDP, the second instance will not be counted in GDP. Why? Because it is already accounted for. See, afterwards, irrespective of the number of hands it changes, it is not something, new value is not created. Remember, value addition. New value is not added to the economy. Value is added only once when the car was manufactured, when the car was sold, new value was created. But you are reselling it, he will resell it to some other person, it will lead to double, triple counting of the same produce. That is what we did with maida, na? Because maida was first sold to the farmer, then it was counted in GDP at the first value addition. Then when the farmer tried to sell the cake, he was indirectly what he was doing, he was selling other ingredients along with maida only, na, in the cake. He was selling other ingredients plus maida. So maida you removed it because that would lead to double counting because it was already counted first. But other ingredients, his profit, his inputs and all that we are counting it separately because for them it is the first instance. So please get this clarity in your mind regarding GDP. It is only the first instance or the final consumption which is counted. Afterwards you resell it or you modify it and resell it, it won't be counted. Now there is a twist. You are not able to find a buyer for your car. You went to a mechanic and you asked him ki please find a buyer for a car. Agents are there for especially for properties and all, you go through agents only if you want to buy or sell. Your car is a very rare model, it has some defects, so nobody is buying it. You go to an agent and you tell ki please help me find a buyer for this car, I want to sell it. Okay? He said, sir, I will try to find a buyer, but whatever is the price negotiated, uska 5% I will keep as my fee. Okay? Because he will not give services for free. If it is free, then there is no value addition. Okay? He asked, give me 5% of whatever value. If you sell it for 10 lakhs, give me 5% of 10 lakhs. If you sell it for 2 lakhs, give me 5% of 2 lakhs. You are like, fine. Okay. After 2 days, he found a buyer. You met him. Buyer said, ki I was looking for this car only. I will get it repaired. And you finalize the deal at 4 lakh rupees. Okay? Now you got the 4 lakh rupees from the buyer. You are very happy. You sold your car. You saw the agent waiting there, and you remembered कि अरे he has his fee of 5%. So 4 lakh का 5% you gave him the money. ठीक है? Once you gave him the money, will that 4 lakh ka 5%, will that agent's fee be counted in GDP? Because he is providing a service. Always remember, it is not only goods, it is services also. Will that 5% be counted in GDP? Yes or no? Think and tell me. I am giving you 1 minute, 60 seconds I am giving you. I told you already that the resale of car will not be counted in GDP because once it is value added to the economy, once it gets colored, it is done. Uske baad whatever color it changes, once it is produced, it is counted. After that, never it is not counted. ठीक है? But now I am telling you, for that resale, an agent services are required, and agent services are acquired, and then we have to pay him some amount. Let's say we have to pay him 50,000 rupees. Will that 50,000 be counted in GDP? Yes or no? We are going to do a lot of thinking today because in fiscal policy, I am not going to teach you formulas. I am not going to teach you remember this, remember that. You are only going to answer. You who are sitting at home, you are only going to answer me, and you are teaching me fiscal policy today. I am not going to teach you, okay? And then at the end, to just for a formality basis, shagun ke naam pe we will learn the formulas. Ki this is it. But before knowing the logic, you cannot learn the formulas, right? Chalo, coming back to the question, are the agent service counted in GDP? When he provides the service of reselling the car, of finding a buyer for your car, he is getting a remuneration for it. It is not free, right? It is not illegal, right? So will it be counted in GDP? Yes or no? Yes, it will be counted in GDP because he is adding value to the economy. His 5%, 50,000, whatever is the amount, he is adding value to the economy. It is the first instance he is giving his service, right? He is not reusing his service. For you, it is the first time he is giving you a service. He is helping you resell the car, and that 5% or that 50,000 rupees, whatever might be the amount, will be counted in GDP. Sir, how it will be counted in GDP? Because he will keep his records. He also has a business to run. He will file tax returns. He will file GST returns, and government will get his data also. Okay, these many services were sold in the economy. I am always telling you that we imagine only goods, but it is also services which cannot be seen. Services are also called as intangibles. We will see that in balance of payment. Okay? Do you agree with this? That your resale of car, that 4 lakh, 5 lakh rupees will not be counted again, because once you purchased it, it is counted in GDP. But after that, when you avail the service agent services, then it will be counted in GDP. Then definitely it is a new instance of a service which is being provided. He might be providing service to hundreds of others, then his business services will be counted in the GDP. That is gross domestic product. It is everything that is produced or that is sold in the economy, but not resold. Always remember, it is always the first instance, not the further instances, right? What is the value addition? Just ask the transaction or ask the sale or purchase this question, that is it adding new value which is not already added to the economy? If yes, then it will be counted. If no, then it will not be counted. Okay? Have you heard of people who modify cars? They, you must have seen Fast and Furious movies and all of those things. They modify cars, right? Their business is to acquire cars, modify them and resell them, right? So let's say they acquired a car for 2 lakh. That 2 lakh is counted in GDP. They modified it. Okay, they added their own parts, they added their own profit, they changed the paint and all, and they sold it for 3 lakhs. Okay? Now how much will be counted in GDP? In the first instance, 2 lakh would be definitely counted when that purchase, when he bought the car from the factory. Let's say he bought a nano car from a factory, from Tata dealership, and he paid 2 lakh rupees. So 2 lakh to nano ka record mein it will go, I have sold this car, please count this in GDP. So it will be counted in India's GDP. He modified the car, he added parts, he added services, he painted it, he designed it, and he, let's say, made modifications worth 1 lakh rupees. And this includes his profit also. Always keep in mind, this includes his profit also. And he sold the car for 3 lakh rupees. Okay? He resold the car. He is purchasing, he is adding his value, he is reselling. Now tell me, in the first instance, 2 lakh is counted. So in the second instance, will anything be counted out of 1 or 3 lakhs, or nothing will be counted, or 1 lakh will be counted, or 3 lakh would be counted? What do you think? How much would be counted? Apply a little bit of your brain and equate this with the baker and cake example. He is acquiring maida for 2 lakh rupees. He is adding his own ingredients for 1 lakh rupees. He is selling the cake at 3 lakh rupees. Now has it become simple? In the first instance, this is already counted. So in the second instance, we will take 3 lakhs minus 1 lakh, minus 2 lakhs. So we'll count only 1 lakh in the second instance. Why? Because only this is the modifier's value addition. Baker's value addition is only 1 lakh. This is the value addition by Tata. This is the value addition by the modifier. Ultimately, how much is getting counted in GDP? 3 lakh. Yes, but at the first instance, 2 lakh is already counted. Hence, in the second instance, we don't count 3 lakhs. We only calculate 1 lakh because 2 lakh is already there. 2 lakh becomes intermediate goods for this sale of 3 lakh rupees. Okay, same thing. This is maida worth 2 lakh. This is 1 lakh ka his profit, his raw materials, his labors, his electricity. He's selling the cake for 3 lakh. So you counted maida once at the first instance. In the second instance, you will count only 1 lakh. Why? Because this is already intermediate. Counted ho gaya. If you count 3 lakhs, then 3 plus 2, 5 lakhs will go in GDP, which is not the case clearly here. 3 lakhs is only GDP. The value addition to the economy, this by the auto manufacturer, this by the car modifier, is only 3 lakhs total milake. Hence, you take 3 lakhs minus 2 lakhs, which is 1 lakh, and 2 lakhs is already counted first time. Is it clear? It's very crystal clear. You know, these concepts are not clear in people's mind a lot when they are preparing for an exam like civil service. Forget college and school. Usme to if it is not clear, still you will pass by writing the definition. But if this is not clear, see, sir, such basic questions do not come in UPSC. Just see the question on potential GDP. It is a very basic question. What is potential GDP and what are the determinants of potential GDP and what are the inhibiting factors which are stopping India from achieving potential GDP? Such kind of questions are coming. So if you don't know all these things, if you don't know GDP, how will you know potential GDP? If you don't know potential GDP, how would you know factors? How would you know output gap? Right? And if you do not use the word output gap in the answer to a question of potential GDP, then obviously you will not get marks because potential GDP and GDP ka gap is output gap. So you have to use those words, right? So this is about GDP. Then we saw GNP, NDP, NNP. Okay? What is national income? What is national income? Out of 8 entities, out of 8 income identities which we saw, GDP, GNP, NDP, NNP into 2 because at market price or at factor cost. What is national income out of them? Out of 8, what is national income? NNP at factor cost. NNP at factor cost. Coming back to the question, what is market price? What is factor cost? Is there anything in between them? You go from factor cost to something to market price. ठीक है, पहली बात तो first of all just ignore this for some time and tell me what is the difference between these two entities. There are some government interventions which happen. What are those? We gave a term. Now don't tell me ki sir taxes and subsidies. That is not the term I am looking for. What is the term I am looking for? Similar to this, net indirect taxes. Remember, fancy term, net indirect taxes. It is nothing but plus taxes minus subsidies. Always keep in mind these figures can be negative also. If the subsidies is more than taxes, this will turn negative. If the income of others are more than Indians' income abroad, this will turn negative. Okay? Always keep these things in mind that this is not a whole figure. It can be a negative also, it can be positive also. We saw net indirect taxes. Okay? Then we what else did we see? We saw the 3 methods of counting GDP. GDP by value addition method, also known as product method, also known as output method, also known as production method. Second, GDP by expenditure method. Third, GDP by income method, also known as factor income method. Okay, all of them the GDP comes same. When what is one of the instance where it does not match among the methods? When there are inventories. You know, when there are inventories, if there are inventories which are unsold, which means when there is stock which is unsold, inventory means stock. You have prepared it, which means it is counted in your output, it is counted in your value addition method, but you have not sold it. If you have not sold it, it will not be counted in your factor income method or your expenditure method. So for that, you need to adjust these things. This happens more in economic research. We are restricting ourselves to general studies, so no need to know how much is added, how much is reduced. Okay? What is the word which is starting from D, which distinguishes between gross and net? Depreciation. Okay, I hope you know why depreciation is reduced. Then yesterday we saw how economies change gears. Economies change gears when either the demand or supply increases to a higher level than the current level. Okay, so in economics, no need to know this. See, we told that this is the equilibrium, demand supply, this is demand, D, this is supply, SS, and this is the equilibrium. So economy is performing here. Okay? If one of them increases, if demand increases here, supply also has to increase, and then you will find a new equilibrium here. Okay? So this is how it shifts, economically speaking, on the basis of charts. I actively discourage the study of so many charts, because if you see in your NCERT there are so many charts given, but not required. It's not statistics or not core economics which we are learning now. We are learning applied economics, we are learning general economics. Okay? Ye ho gaya. Then yesterday, what else did we see yesterday? Very important stuff we saw yesterday, something called as real and nominal. Okay? What is real, what is nominal? Can anyone explain? Please think. See, whenever I ask you, please think, you please do that, because that is the closest we can come to a live class, right? And you are going to see this lecture probably in a gap of 1 week. When we are recording today, you might get this next week, because geography is also simultaneously going on. So that is why it is very important that when you see this lecture, you actually participate in it by sitting in your home. And then if you have any doubts, if you want to say something, if you want to clarify, get something clarified, then please SMS me or message me, or then on Zoom sessions we can meet. But it is very imperative that you participate. Just listening, writing, and I will revise it later, this approach will not work, because there are so many subjects to study. And this I'll repeat in every lecture, don't worry. Okay? So factor cost and market price. What is market price? The final price paid by the consumer in the market, because that is why it is called as a market price. There are some things, there are net indirect taxes between this, because they are government intervention. So government focuses morely on this thing. I told you yesterday RBI focuses on this thing, because RBI is more concerned with government, whatever you see. One very important difference is RBI and government are separate entities for the purpose of economics. Okay, we'll speak about it. So government is concerned with fiscal policy, RBI is concerned with monetary policy. Right? So RBI is more concerned with what the final consumer is facing or he is giving. So RBI is concerned with this. Government is concerned with this, because this is in the hands of government only. Na? So government bolta ki this to I can change anytime. This is what is actual. Right? Then we came to real and nominal. Real में क्या होता है? What is real? What is nominal? Real is the actual output growth, actual quantitative output growth, right? Quantitative output growth, physical output growth. What is nominal? Nominal includes some air in it. Inflation. Remember? So real plus inflation is nominal. And then we saw something called as GDP deflator. Did we see something as GDP deflator? Sir, that bit I am not clear about. GDP deflator is nothing but a ratio which is used to deflate your nominal figures to real figures. Right? It is that that suction pump which sucks the air out of the balloon or the tire or whatever you want to call it. Right? It is that ratio. So when we get nominal figures, see, we will get nominal figures because we don't know the price rise. We don't know how much exactly quantity has risen and price has risen. We get the nominal figures, and then we make an approximate GDP deflator, which considers the products prices of all the goods and services. Again, the key word in GDP deflator is all, because I told you that it takes a lag of 1 year for GDP deflator to be counted, and it becomes useless, because this year we came to know the real GDP of last year. Then when will we make policy decisions? Next year, right? So that is why we take a basket of goods which are readily available, readily traded. The data is available, and we focus all our resources, all our manpower of government. Ministry of Statistics, we have unka manpower. They do surveys for these price rise and all. It is not all automatic. They go manually. They ask what is the price today of rice and what is the price of these things. So they do that. So we focus all the manpower on certain goods only, which cover majority of the population's preferences, and then we count. Then we count another deflator, which we'll know by different names called as CPI, WPI, etc. And then we use that for arriving at real GDP. Okay, that is also, and when we get that deflator data, we also come to know how much is the inflation, because the difference between nominal and real is nothing but inflation. Sir, what is inflation? Inflation ka definition I have never told you. I have just told you inflation is a rise in prices. Okay, the definition I have not told you. I will tell you in the inflation chapter. What is the exact definition of it? Real, nominal ho gaya. Haan, this beach ka it is remaining. What is it called as? What comes in between? Basic prices. Okay, factor cost, market price, basic prices. Remember, basic prices. And then the difference between these two is government interventions on account of production, and the difference between these two is government intervention on account of products, right? If someone would have told me this during my study period, things would have been simpler. Okay? Net IDT, NFIA, then what else did we see? We saw Keynesian economics. What did Keynes say? Very important, most important for today's lecture is Keynesian economics. What did Keynes say? So we are writing the same identity here. Unless we are clear with this, we will not rub this off. This is our mantra. See, many people say that we have to start answer writing from day one of the study. So, but I feel that you can do that in history sometimes, because you can read history one chapter and you can write an answer on that. But on economics, the concepts are so related that all the chapters are interrelated. When we'll go to balance of payment and all those advanced chapters, I will again come back to basics. Unless you know everything, you cannot write good economics answers. You can try to write about GDP and all, but see now, unless you know Keynesian economics, unless you know fiscal policy, you cannot write about GDP. And yesterday, I had read something very wonderful in NCERT, which I have the PDF of it, and which we'll read after fiscal policy is done. And those 2 pages summarize the entire debate on fiscal policy. Like in 2 pages, NCERT has just killed it in their whoever was in charge of writing that particular piece in the book. Brilliant. Bhale he would have copy pasted it from somewhere, but still brilliant. Okay, this is aggregate demand. If you remember, this is aggregate demand, C plus I plus D plus X minus M. Then we drew something like this. What is this called as? This is called as business cycle, economic cycle, trade cycle, whatever. Okay, this is which phase? This is a recessionary phase. This is the inflationary phase. We did not speak about these terms yesterday, because yesterday we were just introducing the topic. Now we are full-fledged into fiscal policy chapter. So that is why we have to gear ourselves or brace ourselves. We also saw that government will try to push this up or bring this down. Government will try to bring this down. Okay? And government will try to push this up. Okay? These interventions, who told to do it in this manner? Who told? Keynes told to do this. Okay? What did classical economists and Washington consensus people and Adam Smith say? What did they say? Don't do all this. Let it be. See, because they are also true. This again goes back up automatically also if you don't do this. Keynes said ki if you don't do this, it will not go up automatically. It will go up, but might be it will go down and go up. So then it will start operating at a lower level, or it might go up and then come back down again. So you don't know how extreme it will be. That is what Keynes said, ki to keep it balanced, to keep it beyond between a certain level, you have to intervene. That is what Keynes said, and we follow Keynesian economics, so I will tell you. And yesterday I told you one tool which government uses to intervene, one tool, which is taxes. It might raise taxes, it might reduce taxes. Now you need to understand one very important thing, the impact of taxes. See, whenever I tell you that economy is in an inflationary phase, or economy is going up, or economy is growing, it means that the temperature is rising, right? It means that people are happy. It means that people are getting more prices, suppliers are getting more prices, they are expanding production, they are giving more goods, and you are also happy because even though things are a bit costlier, but you are getting a variety of goods. That is one. But that is only good up to a certain point. Is it true? Yes, that is only good up to a certain point. This is the red zone. You have to start acting here so that you want to prevent this. Now, why do you want to prevent this is my question. Why can't economy go in this manner? Economy cannot go in this manner because beyond this, there will be no incentive for producers to produce, because you as a purchaser, you will not be able to buy things. Things will spiral out of hand. It will lead to inflation. So this is a growth. So this is called as a growth phase. Growing, hai na? So this is called as a growth phase. Right? This is called as an inflationary phase. You are still growing. Always remember, nominal GDP has the effect of air also. It has the effect of inflation also. So your nominal GDP is constantly growing. But then this will lead to a massive structural fall. this will lead to massive structural fall. How? Because once see, imagine you have started a play group of children. Okay, small children are coming to your play group, and you babysit them, you teach them a few things, first, second standard things, and senior KG, junior KG standard things, and then in the evening they go. You notice that there is a lot of demand for your playgroup because there are no one else. Lot of parents are coming in and they are taking admission for your playgroup. You are in the growth phase, right? After that, what happens? Will you increase price or decrease price? You will increase it a bit because you are in demand. So when you are in demand, you will raise your fees, obviously, right? So if you have seen any actor, actress, they raise their fees when they are on the peak of their career. After that, their demand goes down, they also reduce their fees because equilibrium has to be achieved. Otherwise, nobody will give them work if they quote 3 crore rupees, but if industry thinks ki 2 crore is more than enough, then they will not get work. But when they reduce it to 2.52 and then negotiate, and they will get work. So the equilibrium, I told you, demand supply applies everywhere in life. Okay? Same applies with your parents also. They are not happy with 85%, they want 90%. है ना? Beyond 90-95%, we start burning out. Inflation phase हो जाता है. हाँ? So your playgroup is growing. Admissions are coming in. Parents are coming in with their children. You will raise your price. So earlier it was, let's say, 1,000 per month for one child. You will do it 1,200 per month. Okay? Still they are coming in because demand is there. Now you saw that your classroom is full. Parents are standing outside. They want they want to get their children admitted, but you see that there is no space here. Like I told you, jab tak empty space is there, you will take admission. So little bit of capacity expansion is feasible, but after you have exhausted the classroom length, what you will think, should I buy a new classroom? What will you think, should I buy a new extension to my class or to my building or whatever, because I want to accommodate new students, right? You do that, chalo, you do that. You have entered into inflationary phase. Why? Because you will keep on increasing your prices. That is the basis of economics, rationality. Jab tak demand hai, tab tak you will start, till then there is demand, you will start increasing because they are willing to pay, because you are the only play group in the area. So even if you do 1,800, they will pay. You will go to inflationary phase. Now you have, bear in mind, to go from here to here to, you have started a new classroom, you have bought or rented a new classroom, you have invested now. Iske pehle it was just basics because you had one classroom already. You have invested now. Now imagine that things become so costly that you start charging 3,000 rupees. Sir, why will I do that? Because your demand is increasing, you will start to do it. And in an economy, it is assumed that people raise prices when there is high demand. That is the law of demand and supply. Nobody is happy when they know they can earn more rupees easily, and nobody is happy when they are earning at the current level. If you know that you can easily achieve 100% marks, you won't be happy at 80% marks. It is very simple. So you will start raising prices. Now you are in inflationary phase. There will be a point where parents are not able to pay your fees. There will be a point where new competition will come. There will be a point where new playgroup has opened. There will be a point where parents find 3,000 rupees too costly because you were charging 1,000 rupees. Okay? Obviously, demand will start to go down, right? When demand starts to go down, what will happen is your entire capital expenditure, which is stuck in a new class. Remember that new class is capital goods for you. So you have invested, you are giving rent of, let's say, 2 lakh rupees for that new class. That will, you won't be able to recover that after a point of time because children are not coming in, your fees are very high. You will try to reduce the fees. But now it is too late because competition has already arrived. When competition has already arrived, you are not able to recover your even 2 lakh rupees ka naya classroom ka cost. Then what happens is you have to shut down that classroom or you have to rent it out to someone else. Okay? Then your entire playgroup will start collapsing. Economically, it will start collapsing, not literally. Earthquake nahi aa raha hai. It will start collapsing economically. And then when you collapse or when your playgroup collapses, some other institutions which are dependent on you, let's say, they also start collapsing, and then the economy operates at a much lower level than what earlier it was. Okay? So always remember that inflation up to a certain extent is very good because it induces you to work hard, it induces you to supply more, it induces you to innovate. See, if there was no money in science, nobody would have been interested in innovation, right? There's a lot of money in aeronautics and astronauts earn a lot. scientists earn a lot. Why? Because there is demand for those things. If there was no money, then they would have joined some other careers. Okay? So inflation is good to induce the economy to grow. It is the fuel. I told you, in car you need some amount of fuel. So you will grow. After a point of time, एक ऐसा time आएगा after a point of time कि enough is enough. You know, excess of anything is bad. Even excess of water and food is also very bad. And we have experienced it. You know, one day we drink 3, 4, 5 liters of water and then we feel bloated. And food though I don't need to tell you. We have all overeaten a lot. 3, 4 meals, 5, 6 meals a day, and then we know what happens to our stomach. Okay? So this is inflationary phase. This is called as a peak. It's normal hai, peak and trough. Waves hai na ye. This is called as a peak. After you hit the peak, your economy either automatically or due to government intervention will start to go down because of demand supply mismatches, and you enter the third phase, which is called as a recession phase. See, these are English words, please bear in mind, even though they are used in economics, their meanings are very easy. Growth, inflationary, recession. Okay? Now imagine you reach recessionary phase. Okay? You reach recessionary phase and government is trying to pull up now. Government said that excess of anything is bad, excess of lows are also bad. So government tried to pull up again. Okay? But it is not working. Due to some reason, it is not working. Due to some reason, nahi ho raha. What will happen? Economy will go down, keep on going down. Which means, can I say in English that there is persistent recession? Can I say that we are trying but economy is not going up? We start ignition in the car, it just does not start. Okay? There is persistent recession, right? That persistent recession is known as depression. Same thing applies for human behavior or human mental state, emotional state. You are sad, you are low, you feel low, that is very normal. Persistently feeling sad and persistently feeling low is a sign of depression. It might not be in strict terms, but is a sign of depression. Is it not? Yes or no? Okay? Persistently, who has a lot of attitude, who thinks that he is the best, he is in an inflationary phase. He is bound to crash. And someone who thinks very high of himself, someone who thinks ki I am the only one, there is no one else, he is in a very inflationary stage. He is bound to crash. Someone who thinks ki I am the worst, I cannot do anything in life, he is in depression. So we need a balance. We don't need too high, we don't need too low. And this to control this is the objective of fiscal policy. So let me start the chapter by saying that to control this is the objective of fiscal policy. Now you have various methods to do it. Keynes said do this and do this. That is one method. You know, Keynes said pull it down, Keynes said pull it up. That is one method. Classical economics say don't do anything, it will happen automatically, don't worry. Why it will happen automatically? Because demand supply constantly adjusts. Like I gave you an example. If any actor or actress starts charging very high, she will not get work, and then when she lowers her fee, she might find work. So equilibrium is achieved. Don't worry about that. But Keynes said that this does not happen very soon. It might happen, but it might be too late. है ना? So that is why Keynes said that government should intervene. Simple, very easy, very straightforward. This is fiscal policy. Before going ahead, let me show you a few. A few photos. Never works. See this. See, I cannot zoom it. I'm very sorry. I tried to zoom it. See, do you understand this? This is a 3 sector model. 3 sector economy. We have already done this in our first lecture. I just wanted to refresh your memory in between because these all entities are involved in fiscal policy. Hence, so do we know this business? They are also known as firms. This is household. Okay? And this is in NCRT. So don't need to write. This is a picture of NCRT only. Business hai, household hai. Government gives transfer payments. I hope you know what are transfer payments. They are one-way payments, unidirectional payments, might be conditional, might not be conditional. Household gives taxes. Business firms also give taxes to the government and they give subsidies to the business. This is very clear. Household, if I told you, they go in the factor market and they sell labor in the factor market, and businesses give payments for them. which forms the income of households, and then that income they use for consumption expenditure or buying products in the product market. Who supplies products in the product market? Businesses supply in the product market. So they get goods and they again get the money which they use to pay to the factors, which are being again supplied by household. So household becomes a supplier of labor but a receiver of goods, and businesses becomes a supplier of goods but a receiver of labor, and money is exchanged in between. Why? Because we saw that double coincidence of wants is very difficult to have in an exact barter. Remember, we started with barter system and we introduced money, so that is why we have money also. This is done. I told you when government comes, it also established a financial market. Household will save or invest in the financial market. This money is invested in the business. Then in product market, government also purchases directly from the product market. So all of these are interlinked. When we introduce a fourth sector, which is world economy, it also does import export, it also invests in factor market, it also invests in financial market. That is a four sector model. So I hope by now you understand this diagram. So when you read NCERT, it becomes very clear. Okay? Next photo. So we are sealing the deal with GDP discussion now. See this. What do we understand? Do we understand this now? If most of things you understand, then which means we are on the right track. This is also from NCERT. This is from new NCERT, 17, 18, 2021 edition I have taken it from. So if you have the old NCERT, it doesn't matter, same content, only the figures are different. This is also old now, just imagine. Chalo. So what are they talking about here? Let me know what are they talking about here. Composition of GDP, expenditure side. So what are the components of GDP? Private final consumption expenditure. Oh, have we seen this anywhere? Private final consumption expenditure. Sir, we have not seen this private final consumption expenditure. Is it not C in our equation? C I G X minus M. Is it not C? Consumption expenditure. Na, private final, they have added some fancy words for that. Right? It is C, private final consumption expenditure. Remember the word final, remember the word consumption, remember the word expenditure. We have told, na, it is expenditure. Right? Government final consumption expenditure. Have we seen G? Government, C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So they are doing nothing but, so I told you G includes both C plus I. So government will also do investment in capital goods, government will also do expenditure on consumer products or consumption goods. So in this way of presenting, there are different ways of presenting. In this way of presenting, they have included private C here, they have included government C here, and they have combined I of private and government here. Are you understanding what I am saying? Just visualize C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So that G involves, so C plus I is private, G is government. Government का भी C हो सकता है. Government can also do C. Government can also do I. Private can also do C. Private can also do I. So any way which you write, if you combine private C plus government C, you can write that way. You can combine private C and government, private I and government I. You can write in that manner, or you can write G separately, which involves both G ka C and G ka I. I hope you are visualizing this equation and when I am saying, right? So just there is no white here. This is the equation. This was the aggregate demand. This is the GDP entity which we talked about. So now, if forget this for a while, if I talk about consumption expenditure and investment expenditure, we know in a three sector model, government and private both exist. So this includes private consumption and government consumption. This includes private investment and government investment. But government has already come, so you don't need this in the equation. When you are writing this in the equation, it means that I means PI, private investment, C means PC, private consumption, because writing G, you are writing this here separately. So now G, you can write it as government consumption and government investment. This is nothing but different ways of presenting the same thing. It is nothing but same. So here how they are presenting is, here they have written private consumption. So they have written PC here, and then they have given government consumption separately. They have written GC here, and so PC is written, GC is written, what is remaining is GI and PI. ठीक है, so they have combined both of them and written I, ऐसा. So that includes government plus private both. So remember this term we had seen, gross fixed capital formation. I told you capital formation because you are investing in capital goods, fixed because you are not investing in working or other types of capital. It is fixed, it is hard capital, it is machinery, huge, big capital, and gross because depreciation is not yet reduced. Why? Because it is GDP. If depreciation was reduced, then it would become NDP. Change in stocks, remember change in inventories or stocks, I told you, you have to add unsold inventory to your stock to tally it. Change in stock. Valuables, forget it, it is not a relevant part for us. ठीक है, see this, किसका total है 3 4 5, 5 we don't care for now, 3 plus 4 plus 5, they are saying this is I, remember this is I, it includes both government and private both. ठीक है, then what is C? This is C. Do we need to write G separately, or G is included in C or G is included in I? Yes, G is included in C also, government consumption expenditure. G is included here in I also, because they have not mentioned private gross fixed capital formation or government gross fixed capital formation. So this is a very weird way of presenting this. In this they are following private government, and in this they are not following private government. So this is C, this is I. G we will not write because G is already included in C and I. Okay? Then what is this? Exports. What is this? Imports. What is this? Net exports. Did we learn this? Net exports. Is it not X minus M? वही है, this is X, this is M, X minus M. Discrepancies are some accounting discrepancies. Finally, what do we arrive at? GDP. And this chart is taken from CSO, Central Statistical Office, which is now changed to National Statistics Office, Statistics Organization. This is government chart. We are able to read government data now. Are you sure you are able to read this? This is nothing but C plus I plus G plus X minus M presented in a different manner. Okay, so always pay attention to the words they use. If they are using only consumption expenditure, but they are also writing government, which means this become private, because government will have consumption and investment both. Okay, if you have any doubt, we can discuss this on Zoom also. I will explain it in some other manner, but I think this is more than enough for you to know C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Okay, did you understand this? Very clear, same thing, same chart is there. This is also from NCERT. So that is why please read the chapter, you will understand. If not, then I am here always. ठीक है, चलो, let us try to achieve something unachievable. Let us pay our attention to this particular article. This is an article from Indian Express, when we saw that Q1 GDP fell down by 23.9%, which was the highest ever fall because of COVID. So let us try. I have opened that article here from Indian Express. India GDP growth contracts. So you tell me whether you are able to understand every word, every line by it. See, this is a very big article, but if you are able to understand, then your discussion or your concepts on GDP are clear. Okay? India GDP growth contracts 23.9%. What is the economics behind the math? Right? India's GDP Q1. I hope you know what Q1 means, Q1 data. Demand from individual citizens and private businesses plummeted in Q1. Plummeted means fell down. Increase in government's demand made up just for 6% of this demand. Let me go back to the equation. They are trying to say demand from private and businesses failed. Barabar demand, which means C went down and G only made up 6%. They are trying to say, see, any of these, if it falls down, this will fall down. So you are saying GDP reduced by 23.9%. This went down by 23.9%. Something must have went down here. So they are saying C fell down drastically and G only made up 6% of that. If C goes down, G has to, so if C is private, because we are writing government separately here in our case, if private players are not able to play, government has to step up and do its job. Yes or no? This is Keynesian economics. If he is saying that if your economy is going down, government has to pull it up. How will government pull it up? Government will increase government spending, government investment, government consumption, both. So it will try to balance the ship. They are sinking the ship, government try to pull this ship up. and then it will try to maintain this. Okay? When C recovers, when C tries to grow up, government will try to cut it down. Why? Because we are going up, we have to prepare for a landing also again. Are you understanding this? It is very simple, but when you read on your own without any help, so that is what they say. Demand from individual citizens means C, and private businesses means also C. In Q1, increase plummeted in Q1, increase in government's demand means G, made up for just 6% of this fall. So if C fell by 100, G only recovered it by 6. Imagine C fell by 100, and to balance the ship, G was able to manage only 6 up. So net fall was 94, 100 minus 6 net fall. Okay? We'll try to read it. It's a long article, but it is a very important one. And similar 3 articles have come after this which explain the same thing. But this covers everything. That is why I have picked up this article. Chalo. Okay? Although most people expected India's GDP to show substantial contraction when the ministry released the data of the first quarter, April, May, June of the current financial year on Monday, which was last year, and this is last year's article, the broad consensus was that the decline would not exceed 20%. Did you understand this? When data was first released, it was expected that AD, C plus I plus G plus X minus M will go down by 20%, not more than that. Okay? As it turns out, the GDP contracted by 24% in Q1. Remember Q1, April, May, June, because April is the financial year beginning. In other words, the total value of goods and services produced in India in April, total value of goods and services. Have we learned this somewhere? We have learned a more technical one, final value of all goods and services. Same words hai. Okay? Total value of all goods and services, which means what? GDP. Produced in India in April, May, June, 3 months, Q1 is 24% less than the total value of goods and services produced in India, GDP, in the same 3 months last year. Remember I told you they do Q1 on Q1, Q2 on Q2 comparison. Same thing. See, if you are able to read Indian Express explained page, na, khatam. That, see, everyone can read this, but understanding is very different. So we are able to understand every word of it. As chart 2 bears out, almost all the major indicators of growth in the economy. Okay? This is how I will show you how to make notes. Is growth there in our syllabus? Yes. First point mein growth hai. Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, employment. When you read the newspaper, this should trigger your syllabus. Growth should trigger your syllabus. So paper is giving major indicators of growth in the economy, production of cement, consumption of steel showed deep contraction. So they are showing only 2 indicators. You have to write down at least 5-6 indicators in your notes. What are the indicators of growth? How do you know economy is growing? You cannot say GDP is increasing, but what is causing that GDP to increase? That is important, and you will get that information regularly in editorials. Regularly. Are you understanding what I am saying? Regularly. See, I want to start a group on which I will share economics articles. I will not share what is the meaning and all of that. I will just share read this, or some articles which appear in Economic Times or Business Standard. You don't need to read all of that, but if I come across any such article, then I would like to share it with you. So let me know if you are interested. If not, then there is no point. Okay? And I will only share those articles which are relevant for GS economics, not very complicated articles. मेरे को ही समझ में नहीं आते कभी-कभी. ठीक है? Even total telephone subsidy, this is also one of the measures of growth. Did you even imagine you would be able to write this in your answer? Even telephone subscriber shows a contraction. This is also a measure of economic growth. Why? Because more telecommunication lines means more business requirements, which means more communication, which means more trade. Nobody is taking a lot of telephones for personal communications. Okay? Unless they are having a lot of affairs, then they will have one number for everyone. Okay? But we are talking about business lines here. So one new business opens. How many phones do you think it has? 10 lines to hoga, board lines and all, cabin lines and all of that. Every director, every partner will have one phone, right, of the business. So hence, increase in telephone subscribers. See, this is how you should read paper. You should pick up every word of it and you should try to analyze how does it fit in my syllabus. Okay? Infrastructure mein I made you write telecom after etc. Measure of growth. Increase in telecom sector, increase in revenues of telecom sector, growth in telecom density, also measure of growth. Question will not come on telecom directly. Question will ask how does telecom sector contribute to growth of Indian economy. Then in exam we start to think, how? Then you have to write all these things. What is worse? Chalo. What is worse is that because of the widespread lockdowns, data quality is also suboptimal and most observers expect this number to worsen, which is fine. See this, India's GDP story since economic liberalization. Since 1991-92, they have given the GDP. What they have given? They have given the GDP growth rate. Always bear in mind, this is the GDP growth rate, which means from 92 to 93, GDP grew at 1.1%. Which means last year if 100 was the GDP, 101.1 is the GDP this year. Okay? Then just see the GDP growth rate, 7.6%. This was asked by UPSC in prelims, that GDP growth has been constantly rising in the last 10 years. GDP growth has been constantly rising. GDP growth is happening, but growth is not constantly rising. I told you this example in English. It is a play of words. See, as far as this is in positive, this is above this, you are growing. This is not growing. But till now, we were always growing. We were not growing at an increasing rate. Your marks are increasing in the test, but your marks are not increasing at an increasing rate. So in test 1 you scored 30, in test 2 you scored 32, in test 3 you scored 38, in test 4 you scored 44 or 48, in test 5 you scored 68. That is an increasing rate. In test 1 you scored 30, in test 2 you scored 31, in test 3 you scored 33, in test 4 you scored again 35. Your 1 to 2 marks are increasing, but still it is increasing. But in the first example, it is increasing at an increasing rate. Do you understand the difference between these words? So we were increasing 1%, 7.6%, 4%, 8%, 3.8, 9.8, 3.9, 10.3, 5.5. We were increasing. This is not a reduction. Always bear in mind, when you grew at 10.3% and then when you grow at 5.5%, it is not a degrowth. It is a deceleration of your growth. Okay? Imagine, let me make this very clear by saying that imagine you are driving a car, you are going at 120 speed. When you go at 100, when you reduce your speed to 100, you are not going in reverse, you are still going ahead. Okay? Do you understand this? When you go beyond 0, when you go reverse, that is when you are not growing. So we are going at different speed, 1, 7, 4, 8, we are still going at a speed. Here is what happened, we started going reverse. So this is degrowth. This is negative growth. This is slower growth, faster growth. Slower growth, faster growth, but still growth. Okay? So this is your chart. And this chart should be there in your notes, a photo of something like that. But don't take this chart. You can use this, but this keeps on appearing in newspaper. Hence, I tell you, read newspapers regularly. If let's say this appears in August, and if you did not read that day's newspaper, then you might miss this wonderful chart. This will help you answer MCQs. This will help you, if you draw this chart, just rough numbers also in your mains answers, excellent answers you will be able to write. Okay? So after 92, 93, 94, 95, we grew at 7%, 4, 8, 3, 9, 10% growth rate, FY08 and FY11-12. Okay? Now I want you to remember this, that we are having 8 में 10% growth, 9 में 4% and 11-12 में again 10%. I want you to remember this when we will do fiscal policy. I want you to remember this, why this? So why this 8%? Can anyone take a guess? Look at the year 2000. 2000-2001 में we grew at 8.89%. I always tell you कि whenever you see a year, think about what happened during that time in the world, in the country, in the Indian economy. What might have happened in 2000? I hope some of you were born at least in 2000. 2000 में .com boom happened. Internet was massively accessible in 2000. 2000 में websites were being created massively. 2000 में software, IT industry boomed, right? And India has a lot of IT industries, TCS, Infosys, and they are global giants. Indian companies are global giants in IT field. That is why 8.8%. This is largely attributable to the software boom or software revolution or IT revolution, okay? Which is third industrial revolution. Fourth industrial revolution is happening now, Internet of Things and all of that. Third was the information technology revolution. So this is the IT revolution growth rate here. Right? So everything can be correlated. So now tomorrow, if let's say 20 years down the line or 10 years down the line, when people will study this chart, it will start somewhere from here and it will go 20 years. Then someone who will be teaching economics will ask, what do you think happened in 2021? Why it is a negative growth rate? Hai na? Because of pandemic. So everything has a reason. But this I want you to keep in mind. This is something very interesting which we'll take up in when we go deeper in the fiscal policy. And again, here 17, 18, 19 mein we grew at 8%. The reason being major schemes were launched in 15, 16, 17. Make in India, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, so many schemes were launched which improved India's positive image, which led to foreign flows in India. Now, why foreigners are investing in India, why not, that we'll see later on. Okay? Point is 7% khatam. Key indicators they have given us: coal, cement, steel, telecom subscribers, commercial vehicle sales, cargo handled at major ports, cargo handled at airports, passengers handled at airports, railways, kilometers done by railways, distance travelled by railways, all of them reduced. See this, 84%, commercial vehicle sales, nobody, 94%, airports were closed, so almost 100% cargo was stopped, right? Now imagine you writing this in your answer. Sir, indicators of growth, indicators of recovery. Now we are in recovery phase. Indicators of recovery are all of these. If these improve, then your economy improves. Finished. This is how you make notes from newspaper. You have to make things relevant to your syllabus. You don't expect ready-made things to be given by newspaper or some class notes or anything. They are very good for knowing what is happening, but to be able to write excellent answers, you have to read newspapers. Chalo. Again, coming back, what is the biggest implication? With GDP contracting by more than what most observers expected, it is now believed that the full year GDP could also worsen, because this we are talking about only Q1. A fairly conservative estimate would be a contraction of 7% of full financial year. Why 7% when Q1 it is 23.9%? Why are we talking about 7%? Because in Q2, Q3, Q4 things might recover. So on an average the whole year they are talking is 7%. So this is contraction and this is still minus 7%. This is not growth of 7%, this is minus 7%. Chart 1 puts this in perspective. Since economic liberalization in the early 1990s, Indian economy has clocked an average of 7% GDP growth each year. This line as it is you can write in your answer, in your economic essays, in essay paper, as it is. This year it is likely to turn turtle and contract by 7%. So till now we were growing at an average rate of 7%. See, we have grown at 1% also, we have grown at 11% also. Average rate is 7%. But this year opposite, we will grow at minus 7%. In terms of gross value added, sir, we know this word, gross value added, a proxy for production and incomes. Proxy for production and incomes, production method, income method, remember? By different sectors of the economy. I told you GVA is calculated on a sectoral level, yes or no? GVA by different sectors of the economy, data showed that except agriculture, where GVA actually grew by 3.4%, all other sectors of, this was revised to 4% by the way, but 3.4%, all other sectors of the economy saw their incomes fall. So we are talking, we saw GDP grew by minus 23.9%. Now we are looking at GVA. All sectors GVA reduced except agriculture. Obviously, all sectors GVA combined becomes GDP. Yes or no? So if GDP fell down, then GVA must have also fell down except agriculture. See this, how GVA, the worst affected sector was construction. GVA for construction fell by 50%. Trade, hotels, other services 47, manufacturing 39, mining 23. Minus sign, which means they fell. This is all GVA they are talking about. It is important to note that these are the sectors that create the maximum new jobs in the country. Sir, jobs. Sir, employment syllabus point. First syllabus point. Sub point employment. Issues with relating to employment. New jobs. In a scenario where each of these sectors is contracting so sharply, so you have to mention these sectors when you write answers on job creation. These are the sectors will help in job creation. You remember a question, India's growth is defined as jobless growth. Where will the jobs come from? One line should come ki jobs will come from trade and hotels, construction, service sector, mining sector, manufacturing sector. Here you can write make in India will help increase more jobs. Okay? You must have heard about Gujarat gift city. If you have not heard, then we are just starting our journey. It is a long journey ahead. So brace yourself and mentally prepare yourself for all this. Don't expect yourself to write these answers immediately. You will not be able to write all this ठीक है, in a scenario where each of these sectors is contracting so sharply, that is their output and incomes are falling, it will lead to more people losing their jobs and failing to get one. ठीक है, decline in employment and rise in unemployment, they are two different things. Decline in employment means already people are losing jobs, and rising unemployment means they are not able to get new jobs. ठीक है, next. ये क्या है? ठीक है, this is fine. What causes GDP contraction? Why hasn't the government been able to curb it? In an economy, total demand for goods and services, that is the GDP, is generated from one of the 4 engines of growth. Please pay your attention here. This is the most important thing, and trust me, when I taught the first lecture, I had not read this article. I had read it last year, but I didn't remember. But afterwards, when I read it, I saw that this is what we have been doing in our lecture. So that is why I took this article. The biggest engine is consumption demand from private individuals like you. C, we are talking about C. Let's call it C. बोल ही दिया उन्होंने. And in the Indian economy, this accounted for 56% of all GDP before this quarter. Which means, what does it mean? Out of the total this thing, C accounts for the weight of C. Weightage of C is around 55%. Always use approximations, that is fine. ठीक है? So C का weight is around 55%, which means if C tanks, it is very difficult for others to float it, right? Then the second biggest engine is the demand generated by private sector business. Let's call it I. You remember I, investment in capital goods, ठीक है? And this accounted for 32% of all GDP in India. प्लस करो कितना होता है? How much is the total? 87%. Do you think G will be able and X minus M will be able to sustain 87% of it? 87% if it falls down, 87% is in the hands of private individuals. Remember I told you G alag se if it is mentioned, which means these are private C and private I. If private individuals have 87% weightage in the economy, can government even think of balancing it out? Government doesn't have that kind of money. Third engine is the demand for goods and services generated by the government. Let us call it I. It accounted for 11% of India's GDP. So before the fall, government was able to contribute only 11% to our GDP. Barabar? And then if this fell by 25%, uska 11% will only be recovered by the government. The last engine is the net demand on GDP after we subtract imports from India's export. Let's call it NX. We call it X minus M, they call it net exports, NX. In India's case, it is the smallest engine, and since India typically imports more than exports, its effect is negative on the GDP. And I can prove this by showing you this. See this. Exports 25, imports 28, net minus 3. Net impact if X minus M is almost always negative. है ना? We do plus X minus M. Let me make it full screen. We do it plus X minus M. So plus X 25 or 26 minus M 28. 26 minus 28 minus 2. So net impact on this is minus 2. Right? Where were we? Here. The third engine is 11% and NX. See this. C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Same thing we are studying. Same thing is given in NCERT. How is it not relevant? You only tell me. It is the most relevant thing. Private consumption has fallen by 27%. So which has a weightage of 55%, it has fallen by 27%. Okay? Sorry. Second biggest engine, I, has fallen even harder. It is half of what it was last year. It has fallen by 50%. So the two biggest engines, which accounted for over 88% of India's GDP, saw a massive contraction. NX has turned positive. NX has turned positive because India's imports have crashed more than its exports. Do you understand this? Plus X minus M, M have become smaller, X has now bigger than M. While on paper this provides a boost to overall GDP, it also points to an economy where economic activity has plummeted. If imports are going down and we are not even making those things, which means that demand demand overall is reducing. See, if imports go down and you start buying Indian goods, that is fine, because then C is balancing out the M part of it. But if M is reducing and C is also reducing, which means you are not even buying anything, which means your economy is going to go on a lower level, which it went. That brings us to the last engine of growth, the government. As the data shows, government expenditure went up by 16%. But this was nowhere near enough to compensate for loss of demand or loss of GDP or loss of power in other sectors, engines of economy. Did you understand this? It is saying that C plus I has fallen down, G increased, but G was not enough to compensate the fall caused by C plus I. This brings us to the last engine of growth. These are engines of growth. The government. As the data shows, government's expenditure went up by 16%. G went up by 16%, but this was nowhere near enough to compensate for the loss of demand or for the fall in other sectors of economy. In other sectors means C plus I. X minus M is very minuscule, so we don't even consider it. Looking at the absolute numbers gives a clearer picture. See this. When the demand from C fell by 10 lakh crores, C and I, when the demand for C and I fell by 10 lakh crores, the government spending increased by just 68,000 crores. So now you are understanding 10 lakh crores ka hole is created in the ship, but government was able to repair the hole only by 68,000 crores. In other words, government spending increased, but it was too meager that it would cover only 6%. So there they have written 16%. I think it's a typo by them. So 6 or 16, it is nowhere enough to cover it. Of the total fall in demand being experienced by people and businesses. The net result is that while on paper, government expenditure share G in the GDP has gone from 11 to 18%. G. The reality is that overall GDP has declined by 24%. Net 24% negative ही है. It is the lower level of absolute GDP that is making the government look like a bigger engine of growth than what it is. Explain me this last line and you are done. What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? We have learned something yesterday which captures this. It is the lower level of absolute GDP. See, how do you calculate ki how much is G's share out of it? What you will do here? If I ask you, if I give monetary values to this, if I give figures to this, if I ask you ki out of total AD, tell me G ka percentage. What you will do? G upon AD. AD is the sum of all this into 100. Yes or no? Yes or no? If these are 5 students in a class, if you want to know ki out of total marks, how many percentage you got, G upon AD into 100. What they are saying by last line is that G ka percentage has increased because AD was less. If AD would have been, because AD was less because they went down, they went crashing, C plus I. So G increased marginally. We saw 6% G increased. But that increase is looking so huge because your base has reduced. So if you are getting 80 marks out of 200 and tomorrow the paper, you get the same marks, but if the paper becomes of 150 marks or 120 marks, your percentage increases. But it is not real increase. Yes or no? The base has reduced. Yes or no? Yesterday we saw a term called base effect. Yes or no? Which is abnormally high, abnormally low due to base. That is what they are describing in the last line of the newspaper. Of this paragraph, it is the lower level of absolute GDP. It is denominator. They are talking about the denominator that is making the government look like a bigger engine of growth than what it is. So G ka percentage share has increased because of aggregate demand or GDP reducing, absolute GDP reducing. So government is telling ki we are getting 80% marks. Because now the paper is of 100 marks instead of 200 marks. But asal mein it is, and why the paper has become from 200 marks to 100 marks? Because C plus I have pulled it down, right? And we need higher marks, we need higher base for GDP. Okay? Did you understand this last line? It is the lower level of absolute GDP that is making the government look like, so this is known as base effect. And this is base effect is a very generic term. Anything you do in life which has a defective base or which has a, not defective but which has an abnormal or an outlier base, and due to that if you get skewed results, that is a base effect. This is base effect. What is the way out? When incomes, what is the way out? When incomes fall sharply, Private individuals cut back consumption. Read this very carefully. I am spending so much of time here because every word of it is important. When incomes fall sharply, private individuals, which means C, cut back consumption. If you are earning less, you will not spend more, na? When private consumption falls sharply, when C falls down, businesses stop investing, because if you are not demanding goods, why will he buy a new machinery to produce your goods? Hai na? If you are not demanding cake, he will not buy a new oven for that. When C falls, I also falls. Private consumption, businesses stop investing. So here they are saying ki I is also falling. C falling, I is also falling. Since both of these are voluntary decisions, which means it is my marzi, nobody is forcing you, there is no way to force people to spend more and to coerce business to invest more in the current scenario. Which means if your ship is falling down, government cannot coerce them, increase C, increase I. Government does not have the means to coerce them. This is C and I. C and I both are sinking the ship of GDP now. Government cannot force them. Na banduk rakhe, it cannot say ki don't sink the ship. They are going down voluntarily. The same logic holds for exports and imports also, because these are also private people only who are exporting and importing. Then what remains? Who remains? C you cannot control, I you cannot control, X minus M you cannot control. Who will save the ship? Who is Captain Planet here now? G. Yes or no? G is Captain Planet. Government. Under the circumstances, there is only one engine that can boost GDP, and that is the government. Yes or no? Only when government spends more. How government will spend more? Remember, government has C also inside it, government has I also inside it. Khud ka C and khud ka I. The C and I which we see in the equation is private C, private I. This is government C, government I we are talking about. Either by building roads and bridges, which means I. ठीक है? G wala I, G wala I, not that, not this side, G wala I. Only when government spends more, either by building roads and bridges and paying salaries, or by directly handing out money, can the economy revive in the short to medium term. If the government does not spend adequately enough, then the economy will take a long time to recover. Exactly the words used by Keynesian economics or Keynes. This is exactly what Keynes said, कि government has to intervene. How to intervene? Do this. Do you understand the linkage? Keynesian economics, it seems theoretical, it seems very theory hai, first chapter nobody asked this. Relevant. Newspaper, Indian Express. आगे है कुछ? Very good. So many things come in between. Right? What is holding back the government from spending more? Then why G is not able? Why G is only pulling it up by 6%? Even before the crisis, government finances were overextended. Government was not having money. In other words, it was not only borrowing, but borrowing more than what it should have. It was taking lot of loans and lot of borrowing. As a result, today it doesn't have as much money. And if you keep on borrowing, tomorrow if you have to do your beti ki shadi, or you will not have money if you have borrowed all your life, right? It will have to think of some innovative solutions to generate. UPSC will ask, what are these innovative solutions? UPSC starts when this ends. It will have to think of some innovative solutions to generate resources. Chart 4 provides ways in which. Chart 4 kya hai? We'll see the chart 4. McKinsey is a big consulting firm, McKinsey Global Institute. They have provided some innovative ways. We should also see those innovative ways. Chart 4, engines of growth. But how to do it? That way, that they have not given. They have just given C plus I plus G. Anyways. Okay? Did you understand the entire article? I think that was the end of it, right? That was the end of the article. Did you understand every word of it? Did you understand why we are doing C plus I plus G plus X minus M? Why are we talking about business cycles? Live scenario mein, due to pandemic, Keynesian economics have come into the fray, right? Now coming back, tell me one thing, very clearly tell me one thing. I have given you only one tool now. If the government wants to pull it up, okay, if the government wants to pull the economy up, what can it do with taxes? Should it reduce taxes or should it increase taxes? Tell me this one thing. Should it reduce taxes or should it increase taxes? This is all a part of fiscal policy. We are now very well transitioned into fiscal policy. I told you this is a transition chart. We have crossed the border of GDP basics and we are now into fiscal policy. Welcome to fiscal policy. Okay? Enjoy your visit. My question is, if the government wants to push this up, what will it do? Increase taxes or reduce taxes? You should be very clear with this. It should increase taxes or reduce taxes. It should reduce taxes. Why it should reduce taxes? Because reducing taxes gives you more power. Reducing taxes gives C more power, and if C spends more, because C has a weightage of 55%, your ship stays afloat or your ship even becomes starts to fly, right? What about here? It will increase taxes because government is saying you are flying too much, you are going above water now, bring it down. So then C ka, then obviously when a lot of money is going in taxes, you will spend less. Simple hai, this is very simple, please do not complicate it. It is, so far it is very simple. We are in the 5th lecture of concepts now, but I hope you understand each and every word crystal clear. Okay? Now I am going to take you to economic survey, the highest document which we'll ever read, the most complicated document which we'll ever read, and if you are able to understand that, we will clap for ourselves. Okay? We have started our journey, but we'll clap for ourselves now. Kahan gaya economic survey? Where is it? Aha, economic survey. This is economic survey volume 1. I'm not lying. This is not something else. This year's survey are latest. We are not talking about some basics or something like that. Chalo. Indian kings used to build palaces during famines and droughts to provide employment and improve the economic fortunes of the private sector. Barabar? Which means they are talking about G. Indian king was the government here. Private sector was private. Economic theory in effect makes the same recommendation. In a recessionary year, government must spend more than during the expansionary times. Yes or no? In a recessionary phase, government should start spending, government should save the ship, and in expansionary times, government should reduce the ship, right? Such counter-cyclical fiscal policy stabilizes the business cycle. Business cycle, remember, by being contractionary, reduce spending, increase taxes. In good times, do you increase taxes in good times? Yes. You increase taxes in good times because you want to pull the money out of the people in good times. Good times are going up. When you go down, there are bad times, which means you reduce taxes then because you want people to spend more to kickstart the economy. And expansionary in bad times. What is expansionary? If you want to expand the economy, you have to reduce taxes. If you want to expand the economy, you have to spend. You means government. Government has to spend. We saw in the newspaper also. Same. On the other hand, a pro-cyclical fiscal policy, which we saw yesterday, is the one wherein fiscal policy reinforces the business cycle, which means if you are growing to keep on growing, if you are lowering to keep on lowering. Expansion during good times and contraction during bad times or recessions. So we are following counter-cyclical, right? Ye dekho, see this chart. This is given in economic survey. Relax. Counter-cyclical. Recession हो रहा है, चलो without seeing, try to tell if recession is happening, if economy is going down, what will government follow? Government will try to expand the economy or government will try to contract the economy. If it is going down, it will try to expand the economy because it is trying to pull it up. And how does it do that? By reducing taxes or increasing taxes? By reducing taxes. Yes or no? Okay, that is the way government can pull economy out of recession. Otherwise, it might go into depression. Very good. If recession is happening, which means GDP is going down, okay? What is the fiscal policy? Expansionary. How to do that? Reduce taxes and increase government expenditure. Sir, what do you mean by increase government expenditure? We saw the example, if government starts constructing bridges, if government gives salary directly to the people, they will get money and they will start spending. Okay? So this. If GDP is increasing, expand ho raha hai, if we are in the growth phase, contract karo, reduce it. Either increase taxes and reduce their purchasing power or reduce government expenditure. Stop constructing bridges voluntarily. Okay? Outcome. Softens the recession and moderates the expansions. So recession soft hota hai and expansion is moderated, thereby decreasing the fluctuations in the business cycle. The opposite if we follow pro-cyclical policy means if it is going down, you will increase taxes and pull it more down. If it is going up, you will pull it more up. What will happen? Deepen the recession and amplifies expansions. Recession will go down, it will deepen, and expansion will go up, it will amplify, thereby increasing fluctuations in the business cycle. So what do we follow? We follow a counter-cyclical policy. We don't follow a pro-cyclical policy. Do you agree with this? See this. So no policy action would result in this, in the blue one. This was suggested by classical economics. Keynes suggested counter-cyclical. So he said if it is going up, pull it down. So niche kiya hai. If it is going down, then pull it up. So we have, and if we follow pro-cyclical policy, if it is going up, let it go up. If it is going down, let it go down. See, Keynes also agreed that after a point of time, it will come down. After a point of time, it will go up. But the only thing is at what level are you comfortable with? Keynes said that if you, and Keynes also said that it will happen after time. You can't expect it to happen immediately. Okay? So this softens the blow on both sides. Zyada udo mat, zyada giro mat. You know, don't fall much and don't fly much. Do you agree? Economic survey, live. In the introductory sessions only. Everyone is telling the same thing, sir. Now let us get deeper. Let us become experts in the topic now. Okay? This is the highest level which you will read. Iske upar there is nothing in this topic. Channels of transmission. Oh, what they are talking about. Recall the national income identity. Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. The net effect of a recession on the private sector may be in terms of lower C, lower I, risk aversion by private sector, pessimistic expectation sentiments. Right? What they are talking about here is, if you feel that your income is going to, that you are going to lose your job, pandemic happened. If you feel that you are going to lose your job, or if you don't feel good about the economy, that Indian economy is going to crash or something, will you spend a lot or will you save a lot? You will save a lot, because you never know when you will require the money. That is called as sentiment or expectations. Okay? So what government tries to do is, see, why does government introduce so many schemes? Why does government do so many ads about these schemes? Because it wants to build a positive sentiment. If you trust the economy, you will spend. If you trust the economy, you will buy things, because you know that government is not going to take more taxes from you. You know that government is supporting you. You know government will give you subsidies. Then you will spend. Then you will have a positive sentiment. Same goes for businesses. In businesses, if businesses feel that India doing business is very difficult, it will not buy a factory in India. It will not buy a second factory. It will stay with one factory. It will say, I don't know what is going to happen. Just imagine if you are in a highly communally sensitive place, you have a big factory there, and you have a chance, you have a vacant plot next to it, but you know that riots keep on happening in this area. You will not buy that factory. Why? Because you never know when they will come and damage the factory. You will stay with one. So sentiment. Risk aversion. What do you mean by risk aversion? Is taking less risk, being averse to risk. I don't want any risk. Risk aversion by the private sector, which means that private sector is very conservative. Private sector is not taking risk. Private sector is saving each and every penny. Private sector is not spending. And pessimistic expectations or sentiments. Pessimistic, I hope you know, opposite of optimistic, negative attitude. In such a scenario, adopting a counter-cyclical fiscal policy, which means when C and I are going down and they have no hope of going up, they don't want to spend. In such a scenario, adopting a counter-cyclical policy by expanding G, and we know G has two parts, both consumption and investment, GC and GI, yes or no, will support the GDP and minimize the output gap. Oh, output gap, because when we fall down from our GDP, our potential GDP stays there when we were, and we are falling down. So now we have to cover this first and then we'll go upper, right? Will support the GDP and minimize the output gap. This happens primarily how? So they are saying basically if C and I fall, G should increase. Simple. Because you want to save the ship, you want to balance it out, right? If you are three siblings, three brothers and sisters, if two of them are acting irresponsibly, someone has to be responsible. It's the same thing here. Now, how does increase in G balance it out? That is what they are saying. One, an expansion in G can cushion the contraction in output by contributing to GDP growth. We know that. By offsetting the decline in C and I. We know that. And also by boosting private C and I through higher spending multipliers. Which means that C and I are going down. Which means people are not buying new machinery also. I is also going down. If government says I want to construct a new bridge. If government says I will construct 10 bridges. Will cement companies start manufacturing higher? Will cement companies start making, purchasing new machines? Yes or no? Will cement manufacturers employ a lot of people because you have to supply cement for 10 bridges? Same thing. Multiplier effect I told you about. So, Also by boosting private investment and consumption through higher spending multipliers. And who are those who are constructing the bridge? They will buy cement, so their C will increase. Cement manufacturers will contribute to I. So by announcing 10 bridges, government has contributed to recovery of C and I. That is called multiplier effect during the recession. Okay, this is one. And these are all economists. Their research is all very high level and we are reading from there. Through risk multiplier by compensating for greater risk aversion of private sector to bring back animal spirits. Now this is very funny. Okay? We all have that one friend or our brother or sister or we ourselves are such that we don't care about savings, we just spend. Okay? Whatever salary comes, puri uda di, we know all that. Going to parties now, so nobody parties at nightclubs and all, but normally buying the latest gadgets, buying online subscriptions and then going to parties and all, we all spend that. So those carefree spirits or those carefree nature, we say na ki are you don't have any tension, he says ki paise ka kal dekhte, whatever money I have tomorrow I'll see what to do of it. Okay? That is known as animal spirits, being carefree, being free. So what the government is trying to do here is government wants the private sector C and I to come back to animal spirits. Government says ki don't play so safe, don't play like Rahul Dravid, play like Hardik Pandya, simple. Bring back animal spirits. Have you seen Rishabh Pant play and Hardik Pandya play? They are animal spirits. They don't care if it's a 2020 or a test match. They know that they have only half day remaining. They will score 100 plus and then they will come. Even in a test match. Okay? So government wants to awaken the animal spirits which have slept in C and I. In C and I, animal spirits have slept because they are becoming risk averse. I don't want risk. I will play safe and all of that. So see this. Risk multiplier by compensating for greater risk aversion. They have a greater risk aversion. Government wants to compensate by bringing back animal spirits. Samjha? Which means they will spend more, C and I will increase more. Third. So these technical terms you should not remember, expectation multiplier or risk multiplier, that is fine even if you don't remember now because next year's survey will have something new and you will learn that next year. Through expectation multiplier, now read this, this is the most important part. Building confidence in tough times. Government adopting counter-cyclical policy are able to credibly exhibit their commitment to sound fiscal management. They are telling ki you don't have faith on the economy, but we are strong. We will help you out. You don't worry. You just start spending. We are here to support you. Sound fiscal policy. As a result, rational agents in the economy, rational agents are nothing but private people, would expect the economy not to fluctuate much. And therefore, their private actions would reinforce this, in turn enabling stronger macroeconomic fundamentals, which means they are generating a positive sentiment in the economy. If private consumers, if private parties start trusting the government in terms of fiscal management, then they will spend. Then you don't worry about risk aversion. If you are there to keep our backs, if you are there, so I always give cricket example. So many bowlers have said in interviews that MS Dhoni says ki you ball whatever you want, if something wrong happens, I am here to take the blame. He tells them. So bowlers are also carefree now. If something wrong happens, nobody will blame me. Dhoni will take the blame. That is what they are doing. So government tells private people, you don't worry, you spend. If something wrong happens, I will help you financially. You increase your I am there. You increase your C, I am there to do that. If that creates a positive sentiment, it brings back animal spirits. It brings back it reduces the risk aversion and then your ship again starts to come afloat. Understood? Very clear? This is fine. For India, in the current scenario, when private consumption C, which contributes to 54%, we know this, in the Indian Express article also same thing was written, is contracting, and investment I, which contributes 29%. We see that it is 32 somewhere, 30-32 is uncertain. The relevance of counter-cyclical fiscal policy is paramount. Simple, end of story, khatam, goodbye, see you. Do you agree with this? Do you understand every word which we have spoken about counter-cyclical policy and why do we need counter-cyclical policy? What is the role of C? What is the role of I? What is the role of G? So they are saying that G not only contributes directly by GC and GI, but G also impacts their emotions. G also tries to manipulate them by giving them assurances. Manipulate means tries to advise them and tries to convince them ki don't worry, I am here. So if they are convinced, if they have faith in G, trust me, if they have faith in G, then they will start increasing their spending, which means nothing but your GDP will grow. This is the core of economics. If you understood this, rest all other things are mere uh, derivatives of all of this. They are just derived from this. But did you understand this fairly well? Just a minute. Did you understand this? Very simple. Do you know what is counter-cyclical fiscal policy? This is counter-cyclical fiscal policy. These are business cycles. We read 2 articles, one from Economic Survey, one extract from Economic Survey, and one article from Indian Express. This is the introduction to fiscal policy. The aim of fiscal policy is to achieve a right balance between these things. Okay? Now I gave you only one tool for fiscal policy, which was taxes. You can increase taxes or you can reduce taxes. Now what exactly is fiscal policy? Fiscal policy is a policy by the government, basically very simply put, is to manage the finances of the people. Okay? Manage the finances in the economy, you can say. So fiscal policy is nothing but budgeting how much money will come, budgeting how much money will go, budgeting how much money will come from where, budgeting how much money will go where. That is also very important. Okay? So fiscal policy is nothing but doing this only. Right? Fiscal policy mein government makes a fiscal. See, fiscal means financial basically. So government makes a financial policy. Government says ki how much money I have, how much money I want to spend. Now you tell me, if government wants to spend 100 rupees, chalo, it wants to spend 100 rupees, and if it has only 85 rupees, what will it do? It will borrow from somewhere, or it can reduce expenses, or it can increase 85 rupees. It will try to do that, right? So these all efforts in trying to reduce that 100, trying to increase that 85, or trying to borrow, these all are the end outputs of fiscal policy. Okay? So there is no such definition of fiscal policy. It is just that. But now you know the objective of fiscal policy is to reduce the fluctuations, is to give stronger backbone to the economic growth, is to support the economic growth, and obviously counter-cyclical capital, I always keep on saying capital, counter-cyclical fiscal policy forms the basis of Indian fiscal policy now. I will not say that this will be the same case 50 years down the line. We might follow a pro-cyclical fiscal policy also, we might follow a counter, we might follow something else also. But now, for our study, and it does not change year on year, it will change, it will take around 10-15 years. When the entire scenario changes, then things might change. But now, we follow counter-cyclical fiscal policy. Economic Survey says to follow counter-cyclical fiscal policy. Okay? And now we start the fiscal policy chapter as given in the books. Nobody will tell you this logic, which I told you, this cycle and C plus I wala. Nobody is going to tell you. So the disconnect that happens is in the book. It might be written, it might not be written, but you don't understand after reading the book. Then you read that article in Indian Express. Some of it you know, some of it you don't know. Then you read Economic Survey. Most of it you don't know. Things are not clear. And when in the exam, when things are clear, even if you don't know the answer, you will be able to write very good answers because you know the concepts. In economics, it's all about concepts. I always say that history is opposite to economics. History you need a lot of memory. There is a lot of analysis also, no doubt. What were the social conditions at that time? What were the political conditions? Who gave what? Who was there in Commonwealth nations and what all that? A lot of memory and analysis is required. In economics, a lot of understanding is required. If you don't understand, nahi hoga. It is not possible, right? So now you have a very good background of fiscal policy. You know what it is used for, right? One very simple earnest request to you is that, personally I am requesting all of you is that please spread the word around, because I don't need more admissions, more students for my class. I always prefer a smaller class. But I don't want people to learn economics where they just give money and they don't learn anything actually, where they don't understand anything. So please try to spread the word. If you like my lectures and if you really feel that these are helping you, then please tell others. Because see, now June is going on, so people are still thinking of taking admissions. The year has not started, the study year. So in June, July normally it starts. So if you know someone who is looking for good guidance, then you can recommend if you feel like. Okay? If you don't feel like, then please don't. That is obviously your free will. But I don't want people to learn economics without learning the basics. If you ask someone what is revenue deficit, he will tell revenue expense minus revenue income. But uska meaning kya hai? What is the implication of it? That nobody knows. And if you feel that knowing that is enough and knowing the meaning is not enough, then economics MCQ you might not be able to solve. There is nothing worse than your memory betraying you in the exam. Okay? So then understanding comes into picture. Fiscal policy. Chalo, now coming to fiscal policy, let me ask you personally. Chalo, personally you tell me ki what is the kharcha you do in a day? What all expenses you do in a day? Chalo, very quickly tell me. What is your typical day look like? Not studying but normal when you go out and all. Normal day, what does it look like? First of all, you spend on food. Let's say you something outside. You eat something outside. You buy a bottled water. Let's say you are thirsty. So you spend on it everything. Chalo, very good. Then you spend on travel, you spend on fuel, you sit in an auto rickshaw or you buy a metro card or something like that, you travel. These are all your expenses in a day, yes or no? Tomorrow, let's say you went to call your friend also and you notice that your phone is not working properly and you are in a crowded metro station, someone pushed you and your phone fell on the tracks. Your phone fell on metro tracks and the train came and then your phone is gone, your phone is destroyed. What will you do? Will you stay without a phone or will you buy a new phone? Most of us would buy a new phone because phone has become a very essential commodity these days. You will go online, you will research, or if you will ask your parents to buy a new phone, or you might buy a second hand phone, you might buy a first hand or a new phone, you might buy an expensive phone, you might buy a very cheap phone, Nokia 3310 or iPhone 12 Pro Max, what is the range? Okay? So you might do that, there is no problem in it. Okay? You bought a new phone, you are very excited, you opened your phone, you started using it, it's a good phone. Okay, it's let's say it's a 20,000 rupee phone, it's a good phone, it works well, you backed up all your data, you went into it. Then again next day you went about your routine, you spend on fuel, you spend on eating outside, you spend on drinking water. Okay. Then let's say this saga kept on going and you are also working, okay, you also earn money. You do a job somewhere where you get 70,000 rupees per month, which is very good. You take your family outside for dinners regularly, right? Then sometime you notice that your Activa or your bike, whatever you drive, whatever you ride, is the service guy says that, sir, there is a big problem in the gear or there is a big problem in the transmission system of the vehicle and then we need to change it. So you ask how much will be the expense. So he said, sir, 23,000 would be the expense. Then you think, should I spend 23,000 on changing that entire thing or should I buy a new one because it is very old, right? We think all this, whether to service this or replace this part or rather sell it off, recover something 5,000-8,000 and then buy a new one. So you decide to buy a new one. There is a new model which has come, Activa 5G, 6G, okay? You like it, you love it, there is a new color also, wine red color and all of those fancy colors are there. You decide, I will buy this one because you are earning well enough, so you will buy this, right? 70,000 per month, you can buy an Activa very well because you don't buy Activa every month, right? You buy an Activa, you do puja and all because that is all we do, that is what we do first. And you give right to your dad, you give right to your mom, you have a sister, you or a brother, you let him or her ride also, everyone is very happy. Okay, done. Then again you keep on going on your day-to-day routines, you spend day-to-day and you earn your monthly income of 70,000, which is very good, right? Now someone comes, now your friend calls you and he congratulates you on your new phone, he congratulates you on your new Activa, chalo, everything is going good. Then you notice a certain sadness in your friend's voice. You say that, what happened, tell me. He says, nothing, he keeps the phone. Then you text him, Arey, what happened, tell me, him or her. Then you say, tell me, I am your friend, I am your childhood friend, tell me. Then he says, Arey yaar, actually I need money because my mother is sick, she is not feeling well, she was infected with COVID and she is admitted now and her health insurance covers only 30% of the total cost. So I need money because his salary is apparently not enough. So you are earning well, you are earning 70,000 per month, you have some savings also. So, and you don't need money immediately now. So you tell borrow from me, na? I will lend you money because you help out your friend. He says no. And you say, Arey, obviously, then you have a small fight. You want to give him money, he doesn't want to accept money. Then finally you agree upon ki he will pay the money back to you at 5% interest. Okay, you have given him 2 lakh rupees, he will give you 5% interest per month and he will repay the money back after a while when he earns that money back. Which is fine, you are also fine, there is no problem. Next 1 month passes, next month you get an SMS saying from your bank saying that XYZ amount has been credited to your account. You see that your friend has paid you interest. 5% interest we talked about, he started paying you interest beforehand. So you call him and you say, you should pay me afterwards when you have money. Now why you are paying? So he says, I will pay you now only because I don't want that burden. वो होता है ना, if you borrow from friends, you feel guilty, right? So then every month you start getting that SMS. You are getting the interest also. Okay, you have given money, you have bought a new Activa, you have bought a new mobile phone, life is going good, life is going excellently well. Then what happens is that you have a girlfriend and or you have a boyfriend and you take that girl to your parents to meet. Everyone is happy, they love. See, this does not happen in reality very often, but they are very happy, they love the person, be it a guy or a girl, and then they start thinking about your marriage and everything. But then you notice that you live in a 1 BHK which might be very small because you have your brother or sister also staying with you. So you decide to buy a new home now. So you go to banks because you don't have the money to buy a home now. So obviously you will borrow it if you don't have the money, and you 70,000 per month you might not be able to do the payment. So you go to a bank, you say, I want a home loan. So bank also says, fine, you take a home loan, your credentials are good, your finances are good, you have saved up a lot of amount, so we will give you loan and you buy a new house. Okay? Again, new house hai, something new, you do the puja. I don't do it, but I have seen my friends do puja of mobile also. New mobile, Amazon say, they cut the packet and they do the puja there itself. I mean, if it is iPhone, then sure, you should do it, but others I am not sure. You spend 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees on a phone, so you should do the puja, definitely. Okay? So you buy a new home, you do, we call it they call it housewarming, we call it Grah Pravesh and all those Shanti and all the puja is done. You move in, it is a new flat in a high-rise tower on the 17th floor. You are enjoying the view and you are sitting. Then an SMS comes, your friend has paid you an interest. You are very happy. Life is going on good. You are thinking about buying a car also now. Then again next day you wake up and you get an SMS and you become very sad. The SMS comes, your EMI has been debited from your account. You took a home loan, so bank will debit your account for the EMI also. You become very sad. They have started taking money. Then immediately you be thoda happy because salary SMS also comes on the 31st of the month. Okay? Your life is going on good, right? Done? Very simple. Then you are repaying it. Your friend calls you and tells ki for a while he will not be able to repay the loan. You ask why, what happened, anything serious? He says that he just lost his job. So you say don't worry, don't repay it. You keep the money, afterwards later on repay. Don't even pay me interest. But he says nahi, at least interest I will give you. Then unfortunately what happens is that where you work, your employer is also affected by COVID, which means he has to lay off the workers. So there is a prospect of job loss. He tells you sorry, I have to fire you because I am downsizing, even I am not taking any salary. Your employer tells you, you are very sad. You say sir, I already have a home loan, I have given a loan to my friend who is not repaying me, I have a few assets which I own, so I have to pay for them also because I have taken them on EMI. So many things are there. Sir, please don't leave me because I will not find jobs, sir. These are very tough times. So you say, he says after much negotiations, after pleading, he says fine, but I will not be able to repay to give you 70,000 per month. Your employer tells I myself am not taking that much money. So I will not be able to give you 70,000 per month. I can give you 40,000 per month. Okay, you say sir, but my EMI is only 55,000 per month. How can I repay 40,000 per month from 40,000 per month salary? He says this is the last thing I can do for you. Apart from this, I cannot do anything. And you only see, I have fired almost everyone. We have shut down our factories and all. So you become very sad and you come home and you you share this with your spouse and your parents, and now everyone is very sad because you have just taken a new home. And this is a very typical story which I am telling. This happens with many people, right? So then you start thinking, I shouldn't have bought a home, because even though the salary was going good, now it is very bad. 40,000 per month, I am not able to sustain. You think, you scrap the plan of buying a car. You think of selling your Activa, or you think of selling some assets you have, because you want to service the home loan. Yes or no? Because that is most important. Otherwise, your house will go. So what you do is, so what your spouse suggests is that her friend. So let's say कि her friend runs a money lending business. ठीक है? So she tells कि you can borrow from him for the time being. You can borrow from him at least for some while, until you find a new job with a higher salary. We can borrow from him, let's say 1-2 years के लिए, and then you can repay him. And when the salary increases, we'll start. We can then comfortably service the EMI. ठीक है? So you say कि नहीं यार, money lending and all is very risky, but she says कि we have already taken a bank loan. So now there is no one else who will lend money for us. You say कि fine. So you take another loan now. Now what have you done? You have taken one loan to service another loan. Yes or no? You have also given one loan. You are getting interest for it. Will you pay interest monthly to two people now? Yes, because you are paying interest to the bank also because of house loan. You are paying interest to the money lender also because of the loan which is used to service house loan. ठीक है? Done. Now your wife, I'm just giving an example of a guy, but your wife, or if you are a woman, then you yourself, let's say you become pregnant. You started family planning and it was unintended. So many times this happens कि pregnancy is often unintended, and many people are against abortions. So you decide कि अरे this was not what we planned, because raising a child is very costly. In today's time though, raising a child is so costly. उनका junior fees only I see, and I am like this is what they charge for education, right? And what they give in front of that fees, nothing, no quality, no education. They will give fancy computers to work on, computer labs, AC and everything, but what are you teaching actually? हाँ sir, that is on the last priority. We will do sports and everything, that all is important, but is teaching done? हाँ sir, थोड़ा सा हो जाता है teaching on the sidelines. We do teaching also, very good. In fact, science, maths, all these subjects have to be taught in such a logical manner at school level that we don't struggle afterwards. But anyways, so now a child is coming. Your wife or you yourself are pregnant if you are a woman, right? You again become stressed. कि क्या है? Your child is born, and so you know when a child is born, you go to a newborn shop and you buy clothes and you buy toys for the child and all. So have you heard of a store called Hamleys? It is a brand of toys which was taken over by Reliance. It has very expensive toys, so it is basically rich people's toy shop, and which is okay, which is fine. So earlier you had thought you will go to Hamleys, but you saw the price tag and you said we cannot afford this. Why? Because there are already two loans on our head, two loans on our head, and our friend is also not repaying the loan. So what you do? You go to some normal toy shop. You buy some cheap quality toys because you don't have that much money. You don't buy very expensive clothes for your baby, but you buy a little bit lower end clothes for your baby. ठीक है? You are not able to afford to put him in a very high end global international school, IB school, international business school. You put him in a normal state board or CBSE school, normal wala jo hai wo, and he starts learning and all of that. ठीक है? This was the story. Did you follow the entire story, ups and downs of life? And this will happen with everyone. This happens with every one of us. It is nothing new, except the part where you take your girlfriend or boyfriend to your home and then they readily agree. That does not happen. But apart from that, everything else happens, right? The story I told you is the real story of someone who is named as the government. This is the exact story of the government, and the plan which is done to manage the finances, whether to take second loan or not, whether to give loan or not to the person, whether to buy a new Activa or not, whether to buy a new house or not, what kind of education, what kind of clothes, what kind of toys will I give to my children or not. these are all the considerations which are taken care of by the government. So in the story, government is the person, right? In the story, houses and activas are the bridges and all the dams and all the infrastructure, airports we see. In the story, our friend is some other country who needs loan from us. In the story, we have taken loan, so the loan givers are the people or some other country, or IMF or World Bank, which we have taken loan from. In the story, the children whom we are not able to give highest quality of education, highest quality of clothes, highest standard of living are the citizens of the country, right? Who is the girlfriend, boyfriend, that I don't know, because government does not have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Government only has temporary interests. Government has flings, with other countries. जब तक काम है तब तक everyone is a friend, including neighbors. जब तक other than that, so in IR, there is a saying कि no country has permanent friends or permanent enemies. Country has permanent interests. So if another country is of interest to you, you are his friend for that time being. Okay? This is the basis of fiscal policy. When to take a loan, when not to take a loan, when to spend, when not to spend, how to earn more, what happens if you don't earn more. All of these are fiscal policy considerations. Okay? Now, we'll analyze our story bit by bit. What is the first thing which we saw? What is the first thing which we saw? What is the very first thing which we saw? That you were earning a salary of 70,000. Yes or no? Yes or no? The first income. So let us write our income here. Let us write our expenses here. Right? What is the first thing which we saw? Salary. What was the other income in our case? Money was flowing in. Can you name any other income in our story? Is there any other kind of income which came in our story? Was our friend giving us interest on the loan which we had given? Yes or no? So I can write is that interest on loan given. Do you agree with this? Yes? We had given a loan, na? We had given a loan, which means money was flowing out. So loan given, I will write it as here, because it is my expense. See, technically it is not an expense because you are going to get it back, but for now it is outflow. So money is coming in, salary. Interest on loan given is coming in, but the loan amount itself, 2 lakh rupees, you are getting interest of 5,000 rupees, which is here, but 2 lakh you have given loan here. Is there any other income which we have? Is there any other income in our story which we have? Where money has come in? Where money has come in? Can I say we have taken 2 loans? Money has come in from loans, loan for house and loan from that money lender. So I will say loan taken. See, if loan given is, you are showing it as an outflow. Loan taken, you have to show it as an inflow, na? Loan taken from 2 times, right? But you have to give interest on those loans. So you will write it as here. Yes or no? Interest on loans. What should I write? Given or taken? Taken. Barabar hai? Any other expense which we saw? Any other expense which we saw? Did we buy a mobile? Did we buy a mobile? Did we buy Activa? Okay. Did we sell our old Activa? That resulted in money income. Do you agree with this entire thing? Yes or no? It is fairly simple. In our story, these were the expenses. In our story, these were the incomes and these were the expenses. Yes or no? Did you understand this? Right? Now, we will try to classify them. Now, we will try to see the nature of each expenses. You only tell me which of these are recurring in nature, which happens periodically. क्या होता है periodically? What happens periodically out of this? Periodically, every month, every week, or every year. Does salary come periodically? Yes. Does interest on loan come periodically? Yes, because he is giving you every month. Do you take loan every time? No, you do not take loan. Do you sell old Activa? No. Do you buy mobile every time? Like no, na? Monthly you buy a new mobile. So there are some people who do that, but we are not talking about that. Do you buy new Activa every time? No. Do you have to pay interest and EMI periodically? Yes. Do you give loan every month? No. Okay? Others will take with yellow. Let's say this does not happen periodically. This happens rarely. This also happens once in a while. Once in a while. Once in a while. Once in a while. Yes or no? In our story. Okay? So please pay attention here. All those. Please pay attention here. All those incomes. All those incomes. Or all those expenses, all those incomes or all those expenses which happen regularly, which happen periodically, which happen frequently. Okay, all those. Acha, one more, very important thing. What do you think? Where is the amount higher, in red or in yellow? Amount is higher in red or in yellow? Overall, amount is higher in red or yellow? Big amounts are involved in yellow transactions or red transactions. Yellow transactions, you take loan of 40-50 lakh rupees on house loan, right? Then you buy an expensive mobile. Normally salary is lesser compared to the loan. You took a loan of 80 lakhs, but you are earning only 1 lakh per month. So normally, can I say that amounts involved are higher in yellow transactions? Yes or no? Normally amounts are lower in red transactions, yes or no? See, red transactions are lower but frequent. Higher transactions are like the yellow transactions are, the amount is higher but they are infrequent. Do you agree with this? Simple logic I am telling. Do you agree with this? Yes or no? You don't buy an Activa always. Like monthly you don't buy an Activa, but the amount involved is huge. 60-70,000 you spend. Let's say your salary is 5,000 rupees per month. You save up that amount and you buy an Activa. You save monthly and then you buy an Activa. So whatever is red, so I can write that. I can write it as whatever is red, whatever we saw, it has certain characteristics. Yes or no? It has certain characteristics. What are they? Are they recurring? Yes. Recurring or frequent? Right? Second, amount involved is comparatively lower. Yes or no? Amount involved is comparatively lower. They happen frequently, they happen regularly. Right? Now I talk about yellow ones. Yellow ones are the big amounts. Amount is big, but it does not happen frequently. It happens rarely or on occasion. So I would write on occasion. Rarely hota hai. You don't buy a new car every year or every month or every 6 months, right? Now a question to you is, out of red and yellow, what kind of transactions help you in owning something? Out of red and yellow, what kind of transactions help you own something? Yellow? Yes, red to kya hai? Red to you spend on food. Arey haan, we didn't write that, na? Red, we didn't write that. Food expenses, water, food, fuel, daily hai na? Electricity bill, ghar ka, house electricity bill. What should I do, red or yellow? Red hai na? Because it is frequent, because it is small amount. Electricity bill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 aayega, right? But when you install a new AC, it's a big amount, it's 30-40,000. So I can say red ones are frequent or recurring, amount is lower, yellow ones are on occasion, and yellow ones the amount is Higher. Do you agree with this? Now my question was, which ones help you own something? Which one helps you own something? Red or yellow? Yellow? Own something. I own something here. I own something here. Yes or no? Do you agree with this? It's very simple. Okay. So the transactions, now we are going to economic terms. The transactions which are recurring frequent, which are smaller amount, which do not help you own something. There is no owning. Can I say the benefit of recurring transactions gets over immediately, because when you buy one pav bhaji, you eat and it's done. When you pay for 1 month electricity, it's done. It is for that 1 month only. You don't own anything, right? Remember the definition of consumption goods and investment goods? And capital goods. Did we notice something? Consumption goods were goods which were consumed. Consumption goods were goods which were used within a short period and they did not last longer. But capital goods were goods which lasted longer. Capital goods were goods which gave you a benefit for a long time. Does Activa give you a benefit for a long time? Yes. Does mobile give you benefit for a long time? Does owning a house give you a benefit for a long time? Yes. Does AC give you a benefit for a long time? Yes. In that example, it was a part of consumer durables wala thing, right? So this does not lead to owning anything. This leads to owning something. This is recurring frequent. This is on occasion. The amount is usually lower. It might be high sometimes. It is usually lower. The amount is usually higher. These kind of transactions, the red ones, these kind of transactions. Now, why do we separate them and all of that we are going to cover, don't worry. But we have to separate these because the nature is different. Obviously, if your monthly expenses are lower, you don't care about them. But you care about if you want to buy something new. What do you research on? Do you research a lot on buying a new vehicle, or do you research a lot on which water bottle to buy or which water brand to buy? Simple, right? You research a lot, you put in a lot of effort, you put in a lot of time on these transactions. Do you agree? Because the amount is huge. Yes or no? Because you put in a lot of effort on this. You put very less effort on this. Ye to aa raha hai, ja raha hai. This is coming and going. This is regular. Okay? These transactions where it is recurring or frequent, where the amount is lower, when you don't own anything, which are common transactions. Can I write these are common? These are common transactions, happens in everyone's life. These transactions are called as revenue transactions. Don't mistake it with income wala revenue. Revenue normally we mean ki something is coming in. But even when you are spending something, in fiscal policy, these are called as revenue transactions. These are called as revenue nature. Inka nature is revenue. So when we talk about fiscal policy, we are talking about the nature. So when we say the nature is of revenue, buying one pav bhaji every day is also a revenue transaction. You are not earning anything. You are in fact spending things. But all the reds which are spending plus which are receiving are known as revenue transactions. Do you agree with this? They are known as revenue transactions. They are routine transactions, you can say. Here you can write routine also. R for revenue, R for routine, R for recurring. Very easy. They are routine transactions. You don't put in a lot of effort for routine transactions. Do you agree with this? Simple hai. Okay? Now coming to this. These are big. These are on occasion. The amount is huge. It leads to owning something. Remember revenue transactions, compare it with the consumption. C plus I plus D wala consumption. Now we are talking about investment. What were those goods called as capital goods? Investing in capital goods, because it was a big amount. You buy a new machinery. You don't buy a new machine every day. It is on occasion whenever you need tabihi, and it leads to owning something and it gives you benefit for a long time. Yes or no? So one more criteria I will add, ki these are short term in nature. These are short term in nature because you don't earn anything, you get the benefit only within one small time and done. These are long term in nature. Do you agree? Yes or no? These are long term in nature, right? So if these are called revenue transactions, be it expense, be it income, do not confuse it with only income. Inflow of cash or outflow of money or inflow of money, anything which falls in this nature is called as revenue transactions. For example, if you notice here, this is also a revenue transaction. This is also a revenue transaction. So here you are getting money, here you are actually spending money, but all these reds are revenue transactions. Similarly, if these are revenue transactions, then these transactions which are rare, which are on occasion, which led you to own something, which give you a benefit for a long term, which the amount is high, these are known as capital transactions. Remember capital goods? Similarly, these are known as capital transactions. These are known as capital transactions. Sir, why do we differentiate this? We differentiate this because we want to focus more on capital transactions. We want to take care of revenue transactions also. But you only tell me where would you spend more of your time? On these transactions, not on this. So government is having a list of 1 lakh transactions which happen every day. Government will focus. Government will say revenue, let us analyze separately, and capital, let us analyze separately. Do you agree? So lot of planning will go here and lot of management will go here. This has to be managed. Now you have to manage your monthly expenses and you have to manage your monthly income. You don't have to do a lot of research on that. But when it comes to capital, when you invest in stocks or something, that is when you research. That is when you start spending time. Yes or no? Are you understanding what is revenue and capital? Okay, it can be income also, it can be expense also. Don't be confused ki revenue matlab it is only income. It can be income, it can be expense also. So revenue and capital, it all depends on the nature of transaction. This classification is due to the nature of transactions. It is not inflow or not outflow, it is due to the nature of transactions. Now, what is the implication of revenue and capital transactions on fiscal policy, and what are the other terms which we need to understand fiscal policy? We will see in the next lecture, right? I hope you understood all of that. I hope the Indian Express article was very useful. You will find similar articles almost every week in the newspapers in Express or Hindu. Okay, we'll continue in the next lecture. Thank you so much. Please pay attention very seriously. So you know when we sit at home, we normally get distracted. Phone is there, everything is there. But these are crucial things which we need to understand. And prelims mein to questions come heavily on these things. So please pay attention and try to understand things and then read about it from the books and cover economics with me only. Okay? Thank you so much. We'll continue with this same thing and we'll go a layer deeper in fiscal policy. Thank you.